So, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. We are in Goa on a October afternoon, Thursday, October afternoon in Goa. Welcome, everyone. Uh, Today we are talking books. Today we are talking books. Today we are talking Margao, and we have with us the author of a recent book on Margao, which I appreciated very much. So, for those of you who don't know, this is Dr. Edgar Menezes, who has been a medical doctor in Margao, and he wrote this very modest but fascinating book on life in the city in the 70s. So, while we often talk about the good old days, there is, of course, there is a certain charm to remembering the past, no doubt about it. I appreciated the book a lot. It told me a lot of things I didn't know about Margao, and Dr. Edgar obviously knows the place very well. I just met Doctor once or twice
Yes.
in the course of some meetings, but we don't know each other too well. But I was really taken in by his book. I liked it. I appreciated it, and I wrote a review of it, which I called "Growing Up in and Around Margao." Growing up in and around Margao, because it told us so much about the place, which I didn't know because I'm from up north, North Goa. Okay, so yeah, I will not talk too much. I'll leave us in the able hands of Dr. Edgar Menezes, Edgar C. Menezes. So to start the ball rolling, Doctor, what prompted you to writing the
Yes.
book? Why did you? What nudged you into doing it?
Uh, Frankly, there are two parts to this answer actually. And the first part, but as I said, the book is actually dedicated to my uncle priest, Father Rosario Menezes, who unfortunately just expired a month back after completing 102 years of age. When
Wow.
the book was being written, yeah, he expired just last month, completed 102 years. And when the book was being written, he was in the 99th year and he had completed 75 years of his priesthood. We call it Diamond Jubilee. So I thought of dedicating something to him. Actually, I wanted to write a book on him. I used to go to visit him in the clergy home, take down all his details about his various postings and whatever. He has done a lot of work for Goa. He likes to talk about it, not boasting as such, but
Yeah.
he's so enamored by all the good work, spiritual and administrative side, and all that he has done for Goa. And I would note down some of the details in a book. And one day I told him that, Father, I would like to write a book about you. Then he said, No, no, don't do this don't do it when I'm alive. You can do this when I'm dead. So I thought the next best thing was, since he was adamant, he said not to write anything about him since he's living. I thought, why not write a book and dedicate it to him and include a chapter on him? So this I have done in my book now. Presently, it's called Musings of a violin walk. Sorry, and basically it's a small collection of memories. I would say, right, all types and
Show
from
us
my
the book. Show
childhood,
us the book, Doctor.
all
Show us the book
events.
and show us the book and describe it to us. It's a very modest book, I would say. It's like not very thick, but it's fascinating in terms of giving us an insight into Margao from this specific period of the 1970s. Yeah. So carry on, Doctor. Tell us. So what does the book contain? How would you describe it?
The book basically is a collection of memories. Today's world, we are always in a rat race. So each one trying to just be one up on the other, and we don't have time to remember the simple memories of our childhood or any other good old days, etc. So I thought of writing something to remember the past, etc. And the memories, which I have, like I can say broadly, I sort of classified in the book, and like memories of our school friends. Sometimes when you are in school, you have a lot of friends of different. They are of different background, different culture, and some of them you may not even have met after you complete your schooling. But the memory of those friends always remains with you. It's not that they were academically brilliant or they were something great in activities, but they had that capacity to attract, make friends, a helpful nature, or some sort of charm that could attract a crowd, and you always remember them and you want to reconnect with them. The second type of second memories, maybe some of your relatives, some
Give
who
us
have
an
always
example.
come, they
Give,
were
give
part of
us
your childhood.
Give us an example of
Yeah, I just
your school friends.
school friends, I mentioned in my book, I mentioned about one, this thing, Sham Virjankar was a sort of all-round book. Then I have one in my classmates, among this thing was Raymond George. He's now actually, they all have diversed into different streams, etc. Actually, most of them are not from my profession as such, but because it's a different medical profession, means everyone is busy with their lives. I don't think anybody has time much for the memories, etc. So most of them are from the music side or like literature or maybe the commerce stream or something. There are a few who are part of in the medical fraternity as such, and I mentioned some of them in my book also. Another second thing, like relatives, I would say, some who were part of your childhood would come to visit you, who would take care of you when you're in your absence of your parents, and they were like part of your child. Many of them they have not even married. They would spend so much, they sacrifice their time just looking after other people's children, kids, etc. I mentioned some of them. One aunt of my tia Albertina, who did a lot of work looking after all the younger generation. Even our reverends, my uncle priest whom I've dedicated the book to, he also was always helpful, always available to us. We would go and visit him, and maybe some in the course of the book I mentioned a few other names also. Other things could be memories of some events, something you have witnessed in the childhood. It could be some musical show. It could be something simple as a football match. Maybe you go for a football. Maybe it could be a simple inter-village match, a village football match. You may see a goal being scored, and the memory of that goal being scored remains in you, even in your adult life. The way it's not a, I mean, some international match, but the way the goal was scored and the memory of that goal and the player always remains with you. The other memories could be of some act of charity or something which you see in today's world, something you witness right in front of you. Today it's very rare to see such in today's. It's either said it's a rat race world. We do not see something very anyone helping each other as such. We may see a young boy helping an old man to cross the road, or some accident and a good Samaritan coming and helping the person. The memory of the person of that person of that how that the helpful nature of that person always remains with you. And I mentioned I have one chapter on the Good Samaritan because I actually connected because the long back the ex MLA of Kumpuli, Mario was who stopped and helped one girl who was fallen on the road, and I mentioned about it in my book. And yeah, these are probably the four types of memories which I have mentioned in my book.
Doctor, your book
And
covers which years and which which schools or colleges?
I think it covers the four around 1960s onwards to the late 90s, or like we said 3 to 4 decades of
Yeah,
60s of me growing up in Margao actually, or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And which colleges or schools?
I studied initially I was in Monavikas, then Chokle College. Then these were the not what I basically the places where I studied, and also my friends were from other colleges like Damodar College, Commerce College, and other Loyola School was also always close by to us, our neighbor. Basically, these were our close schools. Uh,
Margao had a very unique culture in that sense. It was different, say, from Panjim or Mapsa. When we came, we would feel it. So your book describes, gets out this essence. Why would you see Margao of those years more different than, say, other parts of Goa, other small towns of Goa?
it's not. I would not say different from. It's also different from the Margao of the present Margao, not the
Yeah.
Margao of the past, and also other parts of. It was a really lovely, peaceful place, less pollution, proper traffic management, and there were a lot of places where one could just meet, hang around, like the municipal garden, which sadly now the Margao municipal garden has become a place for all. I mean, antisocial activities, and somehow nobody even goes there. That La Marina restaurant, Marley's restaurant, to the places where people would generally meet after a hard day's work and just talk about their day's events and just to meet friends or reconnect with people. Now the Margao, which I have seen, at least I stay in Arcane, a place. There were a lot of open grounds, place where children could play games or just meet, etc. Now it's full of, I mean, it's very congested, no proper, all traffic management is very bad, and full of, I would say, those concrete monstrosities which have come. flats, buildings, etc. There's not a single, I think, hardly any ground available now in Aken except for the Costa ground. And everything is very sort of chaotic and disorganized. So that's the difference I see as compared to the Margao of the good old days and the Margao now.
You call yourself a medical practitioner by profession, but a journalist and a writer at heart. Okay. And,
Yes,
I think writing has a certain charm and it's not rocket science. Anyone with a story to tell can do it. Do you agree with
yes,
me?
yes, of course.
Do you feel it adds value to pinning down your experiences and sharing it with others?
Of course, when you a writer has to also read, he has to be well versed with all general knowledge. Otherwise, you tend to become a very boring person. You only speak about your profession, and this is not only with me. I've seen certain people also, which I can in the time, like there are people who conduct engineers who are conducting heritage walks and a lot of things, other things. They have even given up their profession, and they are happy doing what they wanted to do. So it's just that and writing basically is an expression of emotion. Whatever you feel strongly about, you write about. But,
So tell us about, you mentioned BPS and MCC, which
yes.
was formerly Rajendra Prasad Stadium. Tell us a little bit of something specific about your experiences there.
Uh, well, MCC, of course, MCC was famous for that. In the good old days, they used to have that Madodkar Trophy football tournament. So that was held at that time. It was called Rajendra Prasad Stadium. Now it is called MCC because it's made into a cricket academy. So we were regular. My father would always, he was also quite interested in football, and he would take me and some few of the neighboring, whoever interested, pack us off in the standard car and take us to watch those matches. And it was really good fun. I mean, those days we didn't have international stadium, but it was a small state, 5 to 7,000. But the close proximity to the players and the passion of the crowd, it was something really fun to watch those matches and the way that people would come and support their respective teams. Then regarding the other BPS and all that, we used to have a BPS club those days for more for exhibitions, and we used to have sometimes to have an annual sports day in Monavikas at the BPS club. So it was quite a good, uh, nice like 2 or 3 days event. A lot of this thing, and at the end of it, the prize distribution, and we would all wait for that announcement. That the next day is going to be a holiday, so everyone would get to relax after the sports.
You've described a wedding at Kuturi and also, your ambition to play the trumpet. Tell us about that.
And I remember the weddings of the good old days because it's I mean they were mostly held in the afternoon time. So and usually in the church halls and not in this the modern wedding halls. And there was a lot of fun in the sense you could meet everybody, you could socialize with everyone, and food also there was not much wastage of the food, and the music, the bands also. You could say most of them were playing live music, so it was everything was done by it was through the heart as such, not more of the fans or the artificial show that we get now in most of the modern weddings. So it's so much wastage, and they have them at night and all that sort of loud music and a new type of music and other things. That's the difference between the weddings of those, which I have described in my one chapter, is that which I had gone for one wedding, and that those days we used to have brass bands playing. Sometimes they used to have the brass bands playing all those popular company numbers, Portuguese or whatever. And I used to be always fascinated by those wind instruments somehow, those who play the trumpet and all these things, because I used to think you require a lot of strength to play that. So in one of the which I have described, I was always looking at the trumpet player and how he was playing. And obviously, I think this happened to notice me looking at him. And during a break, he just came down and handed to in front. I was with my father. He just handed the trumpet to me and very, uh, very sort of jokingly said, "Come on, play." I tried. I was so impressed. I was so happy. I took a big, sort of a big breath. I tried to blow, but nothing. It's not. I thought it would be very easy. I would produce a big sound, but it didn't happen. Just sort of hissing sound of it. And then he jokingly told me, "Don't worry, you just start having more, eat well and have more complam every day, and you'll soon be able to play the trumpet."
Doctor, the title of the book is Musings of a Bylane Walk, Tales from
Yeah.
Goa. So, where this
Yes.
bylane concept, you like to explain it? How, why bylane?
Why the title came on?
Yeah,
That actually what I usually have a habit of going for a morning walk.
yeah.
It keeps me fresh and sort of this thing. And normally I have a fixed path, like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. But sometimes, when there's a holiday or something of that, I can stretch. I can make the walk longer. So I can deviate from the normal route. So I usually tend to explore. Sometimes I see a by lane or I see some of the side lanes. I just walk inside, try to explore the new surroundings. And whenever I do that, I get some of these old memories of my good old days, of my all these friends or whatever it is, which I tend to note down. And this is what I mentioned in my book, that musings of a by lane walk, because the memories come to me more when I walk along those by lanes.
The Arlem Brewery Festival. Can you tell us about that? I
Arlen
remember the
Festival. That
ads,
was
and it was a big thing.
yeah, that was I think quite popular in the 80s and 90s. It used to be it was like a 3 day event of music, song, and dance. It used to be held at the Harlem. Normally, it was held at the Harlem Festival at Harlem Brewery's ground, and there used to be I think tickets for the small tickets, and it was quite fun. There used to be bands, there used to be food stalls, and a lot of sort of games, a lot of young people coming around. We have a lot of people coming to socialize, etc. And over it, I think some two years it was not held. It was 1 year it was held at the MCC, that Rajendra Prasad, and 1 year at the PPS Club. And those 2 years when it was not held, I have described some of those things, some in my book. It was some event that has happened during those years, but it was not held at the Allem River Ground.
You mentioned the role of your aunt in your growing up, and Goan ladies also play a critical role in like in life, and they have a strong presence. Can you tell us a little about her and your memories?
About my aunt, you mean, that
Yeah, yeah,
whom I mentioned about, the Tia
yeah,
Albertina or something.
yeah. Right, right, right.
She was almost like you can say a sort of substitute parent for us when we were children. She would, in our absence, sometimes my parents would take a break and go for a holiday during their vacation. She would come and stay with us, look after us, and she would you know see that we have a lot of fun, and also at the same time we don't forget to say our rosaries and uh, all those things, come back in time, and they would tell a lot of interesting stories, etc., and take us around for walks, take us to explore the neighborhood, take us to see this circus. Those days that circus was the major attraction. She used to like, she take us there, so we also, and a lot of other ways she was a part of our lives. I mean, part of our childhood, especially very integral part.
Yeah. You mentioned Monte Hill and Torsanzor. I came
Yes.
across. I've not been to Torsanzor, but I came across it in the writings of Orlan Costa, in the set in the 60s or
Okay.
50s.
Yeah.
Father of the former president of Prime Minister of Portugal. So tell us about these
Okay.
two places and the places you knew as when you were growing up.
Well, Monte Hill, our house was actually just below. It was a hill. It was quite close to Monte Hill actually. And those days it was a good place to go, just go for an evening walk or just to explore around. And from the top, you could see have a good view of the part of Margao, that near the Mount Chapel. You could see the entire this thing, the view, had a lovely view. And also, we used to go regularly for walks and see the place. And I don't know if you remember, there was a company movie called Goyantlo Munis.
Yeah.
And So, and the cave for that movie, there was a cave specially made for that movie in the monkey itself.
I see.
The other one, Torsanzor was that was a spring which is close by. I don't know if it doesn't not that much functional now. That and we used to go there quite often, sometimes to have bath. And near the spring, as a childhood, that was our great pleasure was during the Christmas time to make that tree, to make the Christmas tree. So we used to go especially to Torsanzor and collect a soft mud from there for the as a part of the cream, outside part of the cream. That
Okay.
was our regular trip to Tarzan. And other, it was just a sort of a place to unwind, to have a bath, etc.
Interesting. You mentioned Father Kamil Shayer's School of Music. So these are landmarks which
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
heard of so much, but only after I read your book, things started falling into place because you kind of give
Yes.
the context. Tell us, you went to his school also?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we were three brothers. All of us studied music in that school.
I see.
I did solfege and about fourth grade in violin, etc.
I see.
And we studied under Father Kamil Shaver only. Uh, all three of us. There were a lot of other teachers also there. We studied solfege under Lizette Kota and of the Kota family. And then violin under Father Kamil Shaver.
You mentioned hockey, football, and the other sporting
Yes,
activities. So, I mean, these are
yes.
obviously strong memories. Tell us something about those in your times.
The football, as I have said, we used to go to see those football matches. The main memory at the Bandurkar, then at the Rajendra Prasad Stadium, and yeah, those were the main. And then there is near there's a Costa ground in Arcade. There is to be a tournament called the Saint Sebastian Memorial Football Tournament in memory of Sebastian the Cunha Memorial, who was from Goa and who died while playing for Tata in the Banatka Trophy. Mm. So that was also quite, especially on the Sunday evenings, a lot of crowd would gather to watch those matches. And hockey as such was more. I mean, hockey was not so popular as popular. Hockey, what I have described in my book is the 1975 the year when India won the Hockey World Cup and the memory of that tournament because I really followed. I mean, I followed the tournament as I was a 10-year-old boy, and I really followed that tournament from the beginning and all the heartbreaks and the joy the last minute when India won. Even I know India were on the verge of elimination. I described that in the semi-finals, how they scored in the last few minutes. And ultimately in the finals also they were behind. They were losing to Pakistan. I was listening to the commentary and I was so fed up. I switched off the radio, the transistor. And after so long, a long period of nervous uncertainty, I just switched it on. Then to my relief, it was 1-1. And then in the last few minutes, India scored the winner. And the commentary that day was so good. I mean, those days you could actually practically visualize the game in your head. I mean, there was one Indian commentator who used to get like really overexcited, but it was very good commentary. So I mean, you didn't miss watching the match live on TV because the commentary was like that good those days.
What was the response to your book?
Response is it is like I would say it is okay as such. So I would say average. Sadly, that people are not much into reading these days. So it's I mean you cannot force people, but once they come to know what the book is about and all that thing, I mean, then maybe many of them have shown interest because many of them like to all this to revive memories of the past and is feeling this nostalgia and uh, revive their nostalgic memories of the past, etc. So it's catching up actually, but as I
Doctor,
said, we
don't
got
be
to
demoralized.
explain to
Don't
people.
don't be, don't be demoralized because I have this theory, what I call the Goa book syndrome. When a new book is released, people are not aware and they don't care about it. After some time, it picks up and it catches on. When it gets out of print, they'll be begging and pleading with you, just give us one copy, and then it's too late. But that's how I've seen many books shape up. Many of my books, because we are also into publishing and things like that. So that's part of the slowness of Goa. Of course, needless to say, I enjoyed the book a lot. and I wrote a positive review of it because it helped me understand Margao of those years without doubt. But tell me one thing: would you recommend to others who are maybe not professional writers or not even writers in the first place to capture their memories? If so, why? Why does it make a difference, and how does it help?
Yeah, it's always useful to write something about your memories, which anybody can read about, or something about Goa, the of the good old days and all, because it's a sort of a stress buster also in your life when you recollect all those good old days. And even I myself have a collection of books of Goan authors. I like to buy books written by Goan authors, like even this one, the last one of Radharao Gracious. I bought his which he wrote, and Brenda Fernandez, Lambert Mascarenes. It's just that I like to read something different besides the other things also. And always there is something about Goa, something. It's a pleasure that I mean, I don't think of other things. If I like the book, I mean, something, and I prefer to have that collection or keep a collection which I can utilize. I can even read the book again and again in the future also.
So nice. Uh, all the very best to you, Doctor. Unless I forgot to ask you anything that you like to add or something like that.
Uh, at is I would just sort of a message for the younger generation to read more, be more aware of, like, general events of Goa of the past, Goa of the good old days, and all. Because I mean, at the same time, you can't blame them because they are more into careers and trying to
Yeah.
get grades and all those things. And the schools also, except for few, they don't sort of go out of their way to encourage people to read. Maybe some of them, they see a potential writer, or some in you, or they have read some of your things, or whatever poems or whatever short stories, and they encourage you. So I would just tell them to start reading. I know, take a break from your schedule and be a little well versed with, especially about Goa, past, present, future, the history of Goa, heritage of Goa, and other things which are not like covered that much in the school syllabus.
I know. I get your point. I agree fully with you because see, reading helps us. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. It helps us to understand the full region. And although Goa is a tiny region, it's a very complex region, which has played a very historic role across the centuries. In different cultures and in European Asian history and in a whole lot of other things. So understanding that is important because it gives us a sense of history of who we are and what our ancestors might have been and what role they played and all those kind of things. And even if they were humble folk, and at the on the other hand, writing is like, it helps you to think clearly. Once you write something down, you're always kind of able to express it in a, you're able to think much more sharply. And even when I write something, I'm quite surprised that it comes out differently from the way you would have said things. Thank you so much for your book. I really appreciate it. It's a modest book of 130 pages, but it's a very interesting book. I enjoyed it thoroughly, which is why I gave a very positive review of it, and I hope more people read it. It's available where at the moment?
Some copies are available at a Dogger's library in Margao, Dogger's, and I have copies with me also. I kept it confident also. I think some copies
Yeah.
were confident and Dogger's basically in Margao, and Broadway in Panjim. And I have with me also personally. If anybody wants, you can contact me personally. Copies are there.
Your phone number or
So Panjim,
something, or you'll mention it?
yeah, 994 2089 6654. Nine
All the
four two
best.
zero
Thank
eight
you.
nine
Yeah.
double six five.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much
you,
for
Frederick.
coming here. And all the very
Yeah,
best, and keep up your good work. I hope to see many more, many more works from your pen. I really enjoyed it. I think you know how much I enjoyed it because I didn't hide my feelings for it. So keep up the good work, and looking forward to seeing more from you. All the best. All the very best.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Frederick, for having me on this show, and also for your excellent review of my book. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. That's the least we can do.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you. Yeah.